in the biggest nerf that has ever been instituted in the history of Clash of Clans. Let's do this. Now, I don't actually know if this is the biggest nerf in Clash of Clans history, but hey, it's fun to say, right? The biggest nerf in the history of Clash of Clans! What does the equipment for the RC look like at this point? There were some pretty massive changes, so let's get into the numbers. Ever since the Haste Vial and Hog Puppet were introduced, they have been the equipment of choice because of their massive destructive ability. In fact, I never see anything other than these two pieces used in esports matches because they have been the strongest choices for the RC in literally every situation, and it wasn't even really close. But now those pieces have been nerfed and other pieces for the RC have been buffed. So does that mean we need to change the pieces of equipment that we typically use with our RC? First, looking at the Hog Puppet and Haste Vial, we saw a 15% nerf to the Hog Puppet and a 17% nerf to the Haste Vial, which is pretty massive. Now, the health recovery and HP increase on the Hog Puppet is still the same, and the DPS increase and passive attack speed increase on the Haste Vial is also staying steady, but the level of hogs has dropped from 13 to 11 at max, and the duration of the Haste Vial dropped from 12 seconds to 10 seconds. So now we get Town Hall 14 hogs and 2 seconds less of the haste ability. Does that change warrant using other pieces of equipment for a Royal Champion? The Rocket Spear was actually buffed pretty massively, plus 25%, bringing its number of power shots from 8 to 10, which means we will now get 9,800 in total damage through this ability versus 7,840 before. So will the Hog Puppet and Haste Vial match or exceed this damage capability in any way? Now, if we're looking at passive abilities, the DPS on the Rocket Spear is actually more than the Haste Vial at 168 DPS versus 88 DPS, so almost double. And the HP increase is not quite as much on the Rocket Spear as the Hog Puppet, but it definitely rivals it pretty strongly. Now, the Hog Puppet does have that 1,000 in HP recovery and that 1 second of invisibility, so those should definitely be considered as well, but is it enough to make a difference? So the question still comes down to whether or not we can get more damage out of the Rocket Spear plus another piece of equipment versus the Haste Vial Hog Puppet combination. If we are using the Haste Vial, then we get a double damage burst from the RC when the ability is pressed, and if she's able to stay alive for the full 10 seconds, then that's an extra 545 base damage plus the 88 damage added by the Haste Vial multiplied by 2 for a total of 12,660 damage during the active ability. So still getting a tad bit more damage from the Haste Vial active ability than the Rocket Spear, but again, that really depends on if she stays alive the entire time. But one of the huge negatives of the Haste Vial is that it may cause the RC to run directly into damage, while the Rocket Spear allows her to stand back and take her power shots from a safer distance, meaning in general, she's likely going to last longer. So essentially it comes down to skill at that point. So sure, the Haste Vial can offer just a little more damage, but we're also taking that risk that the RC will die during her active ability, which means that using other pieces might be better. Now with the Hog Puppet nerf, those level 11 hogs have 26 less DPS and 300 less HP compared to level 13 hogs, which are max at that level. So the question is, can 9 level 11 hogs that pop out when the ability is pressed, doing a total of 1,683 DPS as a group, last a combined 5.8 seconds to do equal to the 9,800 damage the spear now offers? So in my opinion, the Hog Puppet is also based on skill at this point. When before it was a no-brainer, now it may only make sense if we're running hybrid, or if we have extra heal spells, or if we're planning on using a freeze or invisibility spells in order to ensure that those hogs can do the damage that they need to do for that piece to make sense. Now that 1 second of invisibility is pretty massive and I absolutely love it, but the reality is if we already have our Spirit Fox on the RC, then we're only going to benefit from that 1 second of invisibility only a portion of the time. So at this point, it looks like the best combination if you're going to be sending your RC into the base after your core army attacks is the Royal Gem and the Rocket Spear. Both of these pieces offer the highest DPS boost and ensure at the same time that your RC will stay alive the longest with that 2400 in health recovery offered by the Royal Gem. And if you're going to be using your RC at the beginning of an attack to clear out defenses, then the Rocket Spear and the Seeking Shield are going to have the best synergy to ensure the most damage up front. I do think we'll see more Spirit Walks come back into the meta, especially because the power of the Rocket Spear has increased so much, but whether or not a player does a Spirit Walk will really depend on the type of army that the player is going to use after the initial salvo by the RC. Now you may be like me and have your Haste Vial and Hog Puppet maxed, but still have a lot of levels to go on the Rocket Spear. If that's the case, then we should just continue using our most leveled up equipment. Ultimately, these nerfs and buffs just equalized all the pieces with each other and have made them much more situation dependent. But overall, I really do like the Rocket Spear and Royal Gem combo. It allows the most flexibility in attacking, it gives me some wiggle room, it keeps the RC out of harm, it allows her to stay alive longer, which as a casual such as myself, that gives me more opportunity for better and higher amount of 3 stars. Let me know what you think about the RC equipment breakdown after the nerfs in the comments below. Will you be switching from the Hog Puppet Haste Vial combo to the Rocket Spear Royal Gem, or some other combo that I have not covered in the specific video? Make sure you like and share this video with anybody who's curious which pieces of RC equipment are better after the nerf. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel because we're going to be coming out with more equipment videos post-nerf very soon. Next on the list is going to be the King. That's some really interesting stats. Until the next video, my name is TipDog20. I'll see you then.